Have you ever felt like your existence came with no explanation? Like something inside you was quietly different, not loud, not dramatic, just undeniably other. As if your soul spoke a language no one around you could hear, as if you were walking through life wearing a skin that never truly fit, not because you were broken, but because the world never knew how to hold someone like you. And maybe you've spent years trying to silence that inner whisper, trying to conform, trying to be less intense, less curious, less you. But what if I told you that this feeling of being too much, of being an outsider, of carrying a depth that others didn't recognize, was never a flaw? What if I told you it was the first quiet echo of your divine assignment? Because while most people are taught to see blood as nothing but biology, you are about to discover a truth so ancient, so sacred, that it has survived across lifetimes, hidden not in books or doctrines, but inside you, inside your blood. Yes, that quiet, rhythmic river flowing beneath your skin. It's not just carrying oxygen, it's carrying memory, it's carrying code, a spiritual seal, etched into your being from the moment of your first breath. This is not science. This is sacred technology. Your blood is a message. It holds the frequency of your mission, the echo of your soul's true name, and the unmistakable vibration of someone who was never meant to live an ordinary life. You were marked. You were born carrying a frequency that doesn't match this world's noise, and that's exactly why the world never made sense to you. But today, something shifts. Today you remember, and before we take this sacred journey into the language of your blood, before we uncover what your exact blood type reveals about your soul's purpose, I want you to do something small but powerful. Type the number 111 in the comments below. Just 3 ones. Why? Because 111 is not just a number, it's a vibration, one that symbolizes awakening, alignment, and divine remembrance. When you type it, you're not just leaving a comment. You're sending a signal, a declaration to the universe and your soul that says, I'm ready to remember who I really am. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, now is the moment. We're walking together toward our next spiritual milestone, $90,000. Awakened souls remembering their purpose across this planet. By subscribing, you're not just clicking a button. You're answering a call. You're joining a growing family of the misfits, the sensitives, the healers, the visionaries, the ones who were always told they were too much, but who were in truth exactly what this world needed. So take a deep breath, because everything is about to change. We're about to unlock a truth that will not only explain your sensitivity, your intuition, your pain, and your power, but will finally reveal why you've always felt like you were born for something more. And it all begins with the question, what secret is hidden in the blood flowing through your veins? You were taught to see your blood as something purely physical, a red liquid, a carrier of oxygen, a product of biology, measured by charts and categorized by letters, A, B, AB, O. But that is only the outer layer of a mystery far older, far deeper. Because long before medicine gave your blood a type, the divine gave it a code, a spiritual blueprint, a vibrational frequency, a signature of the soul. Your blood is not just fluid, it is fire, it is memory. It is the living, pulsing echo of where your soul has been and what it came here to do. Modern science might reduce it to red cells and plasma, but in the realms beyond this one, in the places where your spirit has walked before time, your blood is a sacred seal. A message written in a language most have forgotten how to read. This is why some people, from childhood, feel things before they understand them. They sense injustice and cry, even when no one else sees it. They walk into a room and immediately feel what no one else dares to say. They are moved by beauty, shaken by silence, drawn to the mysteries that others avoid. These souls are not overreacting. They are remembering. Their blood is speaking. It whispers in the rhythm of the heartbeat. It sings through dreams. It tugs on them in moments of stillness, begging them to go deeper. It's not that they are more emotional. It's that their frequency is higher, and they can feel what others are numb to, And that frequency, that vibration, is carried in the bloodstream. Every molecule of your blood is an antenna, tuned to a frequency only your soul understands. That's why you've always felt the pull towards something invisible, something ancient, something just beyond language. Your blood holds that memory. It remembers what your mind forgot. It remembers the oaths your soul made before it entered this lifetime. It remembers the reason you feel called to light, to truth, to healing, to depth. So many people live disconnected from their essence because they were never told this. You are not random. Your energy is not an accident. Your blood is not ordinary. It's a map, a sacred pattern, a message encrypted into the very thing that gives you life. And now that you know this, that the ache you've always carried isn't confusion but coded memory, you're ready to go deeper. Because if your blood is a message, then what is it saying? And that's where we go next, into the very heart of this ancient truth. The reason you've always felt different isn't a problem. It's a sign. Before you had the language, before you had the tools, before you had the courage to even Adam, you felt it. That pull, that tension between the world as it is and the world as your soul knows it could be. It's not something you could explain to your parents, your teachers, your friends. How could you when you didn't fully understand it yourself? All you knew was that you were different. Not better, not above, but undeniably, unshakably other. You saw beauty in things no one else noticed. You cried at the sight of injustice others ignored. You felt the unspoken. You absorbed the pain in the room. You looked at the stars and somehow remembered something you could never quite describe. You didn't know it then. But that wasn't sensitivity. It was alignment. That wasn't fragility. It was reception. That wasn't a personality trait. It was the activation of your code. The code in your blood, because the moment your soul chose this lifetime, it chose a vessel. And that vessel was wired with memory, emotional, spiritual, ancestral memory, to remind you through feeling who you truly are. That's why nothing ever felt quite right. Not the conversations that skimmed the surface, not the goals the world told you to chase, not the masks everyone seemed to wear so easily. While others rushed to belong, you were wondering what you were really here for. And every time you tried to mute your voice, to shrink your feelings, to numb your depth just to fit in, something inside you screamed, because your soul cannot wear someone else's skin. And your blood was never meant to be diluted. You were not born for sameness. You were born with spiritual specificity. Your difference was not a mistake. It was a message your blood carried before you even knew how to ask the question. And if you're still reading this, if your heart is pounding, if your eyes are welling up with a sense of being seen, then you already know. You've felt it all your life. But now, finally, you're beginning to understand why. And that leads us into a truth few are brave enough to accept, that you were never just born. You were sent. Not everyone will understand what you're about to feel, because this is not a message for the mind. It's for the soul, and only certain souls will recognize it. There is a group of beings scattered across the world from every continent, culture, and tongue, who've always carried something. Different, they go by many names. Old souls, star seeds, light workers, or simply weren't the chosen ones, but these are just words. What truly defines them is not a label. It's a feeling, an ache, a knowing. They are the ones who've walked through life with questions burning inside them that no school could answer. The ones who've cried in silence over pain they never caused, but somehow still carried. They are the ones who've always sensed that this life is not the beginning and not the end. And if you felt that too, if something in you has always whispered, "There's more," then you are not lost. You are awakening. You didn't come here to play by the rules. You didn't come here to get applause. You didn't even come here to be seen. You came here to remember, to disrupt, to heal, to serve, to anchor light in a world addicted to noise. This world will try to tell you that your depth is a flaw, that your sensitivity is weakness, that your longing for truth is naive. But the truth is, your soul is ancient. It has lived through lifetimes. It has carried wisdom from realms far beyond this one. And your blood, it holds the receipt. Yes, the blood in your body right now. The same blood that has pulsed through every emotion, every breath, every moment of your life. Remembers. It carries your purpose, your pattern, your sacred instructions. You are not broken. You are not dramatic. You are not too sensitive. You are wired for something higher. And if anything in you is rising right now, if these words are doing something you can't quite explain, then do something simple but intentional. Type the word awakening in the comments. Yes, just that. One word, because when you speak it, you're not just commenting, you're confirming. You're sending a signal into the field. I remember. I know who I am. I accept the call. And you are not alone. There are thousands rising beside you. A spiritual family connected not by bloodlines, but by frequency. And your blood carries proof that you are one of them. Which leads us to one of the most powerful revelations of this entire journey. Your blood isn't just a marker of biology. It is the sacred proof of your spiritual assignment. For centuries, the world has looked for signs of greatness in all the wrong places, in titles, in wealth, in appearances, in performance. But heaven does not mark its messengers with gold or fame. It marks them in secret, in places no eye can see. It marks them in the blood. You see, your blood is not simply the river that sustains your biology. It is the archive of your soul's truth. It is the carrier of divine memory. It is the most sacred document your body possesses. Before you were born, before you ever had a name, your soul agreed to carry a mission. And with that agreement came a frequency. And with that frequency came a seal. That seal is your blood, not the color, not just the type written on medical forms, but the vibration that flows through it. Every drop carries echoes of where you came from, not just geographically or genetically, but cosmically. Your blood remembers what your mind has forgotten. It remembers the feeling of divine alignment. It remembers the lifetimes you've walked as healer, protector, guide, visionary. It remembers the promises made before incarnation, that you would not fall asleep this time, that you would awaken, and that when the moment came, you would rise, quietly but powerfully, and take your place as one of the few who walk with clarity in a world of confusion. That moment is now, and the proof. It's been pulsing beneath your skin since the day you arrived. The system never wanted you to know this, because when you do, you can't be manipulated, you can't be numbed, you can't be silenced, because suddenly, the reason you feel everything, the reason you question everything, the reason you don't quite fit into the mold, makes sense. You were never meant to fit in. You were encoded to awaken, and your blood has been trying to tell you this the whole time. If your blood type is A, you've likely felt everything. Long. Before anyone ever told you what you were feeling. From a young age, you noticed when something was wrong, even if no one said a word. You read between silences. You caught the sadness behind someone's eyes. You felt the atmosphere of a room before you stepped into it. You didn't ask for this sensitivity. It came with you. It was born into your bloodstream. And while the world tried to teach you to ignore it, your soul never let you forget. You were not made to be numb. You were made to feel deeply, not just for yourself, but for others who no longer know how. You are the emotional guardian. Your presence brings calm in chaos, softness in a hardened world, truth in moments when no one else dares to speak it. You are the spiritual mirror, reflecting back what others suppress. That's why people are drawn to you. It's why strangers open up, why friends lean on you, why you carry the weight of other people's storms. Not because you're weak, but because your soul was designed to hold what others cannot name. And yet, this gift comes with a burden. Type A souls often forget themselves in the process of holding everyone else. They give until there's nothing left. They keep the peace, even when it's costing them their own. They hide their exhaustion, their tears, their hunger to be seen, because they believe that being strong means being silent. But hear this truth clearly now. You were not sent here to carry the world. You were sent here to transform it. Not through martyrdom, but through presence. Through compassion, not self-sacrifice. Your soul's sensitivity is not your weakness. It is your deepest power. And in a world that has forgotten how to feel, you are a living reminder of the divine heart. But you must protect your energy. You must learn to say no, to rest, to allow space for yourself in the same way you've made space for everyone else. Because when you do, your true frequency begins to rise. You begin to heal, and your healing becomes healing for others. You become what you were always meant to be, a channel of sacred peace in a world desperate for stillness. You were born with type A blood, but beneath that label lives a sacred identity. You are the guardian of emotional truth. And now we move to another sacred role, the soul that rebels not out of pride, but out of divine fire. If your blood type is B, then chances are you've never quite followed the script, not because you couldn't, but because something in you wouldn't. It resisted, it questioned, it saw beyond what others accepted. From early on, you felt the pressure to conform, to think like everyone else, to walk the expected path, to settle into systems that never made sense to your soul. And maybe you tried. Maybe you obeyed for a while. Maybe you wore the masks, spoke the language, played the part, but deep down you knew. You weren't made to follow. You were made to awaken, to disrupt, to reimagine what the world could become. Type B souls are visionaries, not in the way the world defines success, but in the way the soul defines impact. You see patterns before others do. You challenge the status quo not to destroy it, but to liberate it. You are drawn to the mystical, the mysterious, the unexplainable, because your soul remembers truths that don't fit neatly into logic. You are the fire on the edge of the forest, the flicker of light before the dawn of something new. But here's what most don't understand. This path can be lonely because visionaries walk ahead of their time. They often speak in languages the world hasn't yet learned how to hear, and so you may have been labeled impulsive, selfish, chaotic, not because you were any of those things, but because others couldn't see the clarity you were following from within. But make no mistake, your rebellion is sacred. It is not a rejection of life. It is a devotion to truth. Your soul refuses to betray itself for the sake of comfort. And yet, with all your wild power, there is a challenge to find balance, to learn the art of sacred structure, to root your freedom in purpose, to channel your vision not in bursts that burn you out, but in rhythms that build something eternal. When you find that balance, you become unstoppable. You are not just a creative spirit. You are a messenger, a spark that ignites awakening wherever you go. Your presence carries change. Your energy stirs memory in others. You don't always need to speak. Your frequency does the talking. You were born with type B blood, but beneath that physical signature lives a deeper truth. You are the spiritual rebel, not born to obey, but to remember, not here to conform, but to awaken. And next we arrive at one of the rarest paths, the soul that bridges light and shadow, logic and mystery, silence and revelation. If your blood type is AB, then you already know what it means to live between worlds. You've likely felt it your entire life. The tension between extremes, the contradiction within your own being, the sense that you never fully belong to any single group, idea, or identity. One part of you is still, observant, and deeply intuitive. Another part is social, expressive, ready to lead. At times you crave solitude, then suddenly you long for connection. You are not unstable, you are not inconsistent, you are not confused, you are complex, because your soul carries duality and was born to unify it. Type AB is a rare frequency, both biologically and spiritually. It holds the memory of two sacred codes, the emotional depth of Type A and the visionary independence of Type B. And rather than choosing one path, you were designed to integrate them, to become the bridge, the alchemist, the living symbol of spiritual wholeness. In a world that demands definition, you are the one who dissolves lines. You walk the middle path, not in indecision, but in mastery. You understand light and shadow. You speak both reason and intuition. You are logic and mysticism, structure and flow, vision and tenderness, woven into a single breath. And because of that, your presence alone is healing. You bring peace into polarity. You see both sides of a conflict and hold the space between them. You don't just solve problems, you transform them. That is why people feel safe around you even if they can't explain why. Your energy restores balance, not through control but through presence, but with such depth comes responsibility. Your challenge is not to get lost in your own complexity. You are many things, but you are not everything. You don't have to bend for every person. You don't have to prove your place in every room. You don't have to make sense to those still living in one-dimensional thinking. You are not here to fit in. You are here to bring together what's been divided. Honor that gift. Honor the contradictions within you. They are not a curse. They are the evidence that you are a sacred fusion, a soul that came here to bridge what others believed could never be unified. You were born with type AB blood. But beneath that rare combination lives your spiritual identity. You are the integrator, the alchemist, the one who remembers that wholeness is never found in separation, but in union. And now, we move toward the final role, the oldest frequency, the most grounded soul, the one who was sent to stand strong when the world trembles. If your blood type is O, then you are the root, the foundation, the quiet power that others turn to when everything else begins to shake. You've likely carried responsibility from a young age, not because you asked for it, but because others sensed something strong in you, even when you didn't. You were the one who kept calm when others fell apart. The one who absorbed tension without showing it. The one who stood still while the world swirled in chaos. But let's be honest, being the strong one isn't easy. It means your pain often goes unseen. It means people forget that even you need rest, need gentleness, need someone to hold you, because beneath your steady presence lives a soul that has walked through fire, not just in this life, but through lifetimes of warriorhood, leadership, guardianship. Type O is the most ancient frequency. It carries the imprint of protectors, elders, spiritual sentinels, those who were sent not just to witness the world, but to hold it. You are the guardian. Your energy carries the vibration of safety, truth, and endurance. You are deeply loyal to people, to values, to what is right, even when it costs you. You cannot tolerate lies. You cannot sit comfortably in injustice. You are not easily moved by trends or chaos, because your soul is anchored in something deeper. This is why others look to you. Even if you don't speak much, your presence is grounding, stabilizing, sacred. But here's what the world often misses. Even guardians need protection. Even warriors need peace. Your strength is beautiful, but it must not come at the cost of your own soul. You do not have to carry everyone else's burdens alone. You do not have to earn your worth by being unbreakable. You are not just here to shield, you are here to thrive. And when you give yourself permission to soften, to heal, to be held, your strength becomes even more powerful because it is rooted in truth, not performance. You were born with type O blood, but behind that label lives the spiritual assignment of a protector. You are the guardian, the anchor, the flame that keeps burning, even in the darkest night. And now, having walked through each soul path, we arrive at a deeper truth, that none of these roles are superior. Each one is vital. Each one is sacred. And when you stop resisting who you are and start honoring the divine frequency in your veins, everything begins to flow. For too long, we've been taught to compare, to measure value based on systems that divide, to believe that some paths are greater, some gifts more divine, but the truth is simpler and infinitely more powerful. There is no greater among the chosen. There is only resonance. There is only role. Your blood type does not make you better. It makes you specific. It speaks of the part your soul was born to play within the greater body of humanity. Some are the hearts, gentle, intuitive, emotional, and healing. Some are the vision, bold, free, untamable, and creative. Some are the bridges, complex, paradoxical, able to weave opposites into union. And some are the roots, grounded, steady, protectors of ancient strength. None of them can replace the others. None of them exist alone. All are sacred. All are needed. And the moment you stop resisting your frequency, the moment you stop wishing you were something else, you begin to unlock the full power of your soul's assignment. This is not about fitting in. It's about remembering what was always true. Your blood is not just biology. It is memory. It is message. It is a divine activation code. And the moment you honor it, life begins to realign. Synchronicities multiply. The right people find you. The wrong ones fall away. The path doesn't become easier. It becomes clearer, and clarity changes everything. Chosen one, now that you've heard these words, now that something inside you has awakened, you can no longer pretend to be what you're not. You were not born to live quietly in someone else's shadow. You were not sent here to doubt your power, to silence your truth, to carry shame for your sensitivity. You were born with a code written in blood, carved into memory, alive in every beat of your heart. That code is not random. It is the evidence that your soul is not lost. It is the confirmation that your life is not a mistake. It is the living signature of your purpose. For so long, you may have felt like a misfit, like someone trying to explain something that could never quite be put into words. But what if that ache, that lifelong feeling of being different, was actually the beginning of remembrance? You are part of something rare, a global tribe, a scattered family, a soul network rising. You are one of the ones who feel too much, who question too deeply, who remember too far back. You are not alone, and you never were. Because all along, your blood was whispering the truth. It remembers the mission. It remembers the vow. And now, so do you. So if this message has touched something in you, if you feel the frequency rising, don't let it end here. Leave a comment with your blood type, or simply write the number 111 as a sign to the universe. I remember. I am ready. I accept my role. And if you haven't yet, subscribe now to join this growing family of awakened souls. Together, we are walking toward our next milestone. 90,000 chosen ones remembering their path. Because the world needs your frequency. Not someday, but now. Your life is the offering. Your presence is the signal. Your awakening is the beginning of someone else's. Let the blood speak. Let the soul rise. Let the light walk. You are not just alive. You are activated, and the world is waiting for you. Until next time, stay awakened, stay grounded, and above all, stay true.